Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 4 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co hosts, Late Riser and Pras. Nice team selection video this week, LR. The FPL juice is back.
Yeah, FPL Juice never really left. There was the weekend pod with Walsh and then the team selection video. I think I'll go into Zoph mode tomorrow once I get out of town as well. Speaking of which, how was your trip, man?
Very good, man. Lots of food, lots of steps. Feel quite relaxed after coming back.
There was a pause after steps. You were going to say something else.
No, this is quite relaxed. In fact, guys, we have to tell everyone about the new target. What are we going to do about a 50K subscription press? Why don't you share? Or when we hit 50K subscribers.
Have we agreed something? Are you putting me on the spot?
Hello, both the married guys proposed a trip to Thailand.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Full disclosure,
what do you
guys.
mean, both the married guys.
Both the married guys.
I proposed Dubai. Please, I said let's go to Dubai because it's in between London and India.
Lies.
That's when you thought it was a family trip, and we were like, no, it will just be three of us, and we'll do a separate kind of trip. So yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the three of us are going to do in Dubai. It has to be.
Oh, I know. I could think of a few things. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'm like a frequent visitor now.
But when Zoph said that he had a lot of food and a lot of steps, I thought there was sort of like a typo. I didn't know if he meant steps.
Bro, guys, ultimately, it's the ultimate wood joke if you end up in Thailand. 50K subs.
Yeah, it's the only place where wood might be relevant now because Ange is at the wheel now, and I don't know how much he's going to make persist with wood. So things might change there as well.
Things might change. What else have you guys been?
Nothing much, man. Like it was a welcome break as such. Like with preseason stuff and with holidays, like it was good to like get back to the normal thing. Here in the UK, it's also, or in London, I should say, it's also tube strike. So this week, like all 4 days working from home, getting back to the gym routine and catching up on work and stuff. So all
Looking
good.
sharper,
nice
is that the gym jawline or like the whole camera effect?
It's the new equipment, as you know, as everybody will know. All of those, Pras, I couldn't hear you or you were breaking up. I hope, fingers crossed, that it's all gone because I've bought some new equipment, a new PC, new lights. The old camera, the ones that we had from 2 years ago is now functional again. So we have upgraded.
The things a Bruno goal can do.
Exactly.
Imagine what will happen when he scores a hat trick.
When exactly?
Yeah,
you didn't say if.
I didn't say if.
And by the way, I have to say the Walsh podcast was really, really good. Like I really enjoyed it. The type of thinking, the type of discussion you guys had, like an old school FPL chat. So I think I'm not the only one who'll say that was really, really good content.
It's so interesting, right? Because Walsh is a specimen as far as possible from the world of analytics that you can get, and then there's the analytical world, and both in their own way came to the same conclusion where you need these FPL routes to points unicorn defender midfielders like Bruno and Paqueta, and Defcon is Lear, right? So it's interesting how both arrived to the same conclusion in their own ways as well, which is quite nice to see.
Yep. And there are a lot of people criticizing it, saying that this team is crazy, this team is nuts. But then also those same people will be commenting on every YouTube video, oh, you guys have the same team.
Yeah. No, there was thought process behind it. I mean, there's...
So I like there's no middle ground. With Walsh is never no middle ground. It's either here or there. So it's just fun to see, refreshing to see. I understand some of our viewers were off-put by the language, but that's just Walsh stuff. We can look past that. It was a very entertaining pod.
Right. Agreed. Right.
Should we get started?
All right, let's get into the swing of things. Sponsor plugs first. As always, all the data on this podcast is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. I want to plug the members' articles actually because there have been a fair few, especially the midfielder comparisons when it comes to Grealish versus Ndiaye versus Dewsbury Hall. A lot of interesting stuff, which is sort of members only because they show us data, especially deep in the members area, which becomes useful, right? So they do the homework for you, and that alone is worth its weight in membership, in my opinion. So if you want to become a member, click on the link in the description below.
As you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN, you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services. And if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. TV show recommendations. Guys, you must have been watching something over the IB. Russ, I'll come to you first.
Oh, I finished the Capture that I talked about. It's on Netflix. I don't think it's in Netflix India, but
No,
I
it's
don't know
not.
where
I
it
looked
is.
for it. It's not there.
Not VPN.
So NordVPN, exactly. So it's in, and I finished it for season 1 was really good. I've just started season 2, and also Wednesday has restarted. So we watched a couple of episodes of that. So that's been much of what I've been doing.
Hello?
Based on your recommendation last time, I started Platonic, almost done with season 1.
It's fun, right? The good
So
writing.
much fun. Great show to watch with your partner if you choose to watch it in such a way as well. And just light 30-minute entertaining episodes. I also saw this freaky, creepy, but interesting documentary, the High School Catfish, which is on Netflix as well. It's an intriguing watch. I think Netflix do well with these documentaries, and it tells us a little bit about psychology around teenagers, which I think is quite an interesting topic.
I watched a lot of TV while traveling. Are you guys familiar with the whole Labubu phenomenon?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course, obviously, right? Most people on this pod
Yeah.
are. So the South Park did an episode on it. And when South Park goes hard, South Park goes hard. The last episode, Labubu episode, is hilarious. If you guys don't watch that, just this season, that episode, you have to catch. And plus, Traitors Ireland is fun. I've
Really?
caught up on all 5 episodes so far. It's a lot of fun.
All right, noted.
I think about 5 episodes out, you need to get on that shit. Then we'll get into the DMs.
All right, okay. We'll catch up.
I'm going to watch that one too. Nice. Good records.
Yep. Moving on, Nord also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Cool, guys. Let's get started. And we decided to put Gyökeres on the thumbnail for this one. I think he's a big interest, and it sort of plays into the whole Forest angle as well, right? So we will get into
Were you
that.
surprised by the announcement, by the sacking?
Not so much. No, after they lost the last game, I didn't think so. Especially the way they lost it. I think they had only 0.5 or 0.6 XG that game. And we looked at it, right? Nuno was suffering that sort of identity crisis. It felt like he was a dead man walking ever since the comments we heard pre-game week 1.
Yeah, but we should never be in this position. Like, okay, I understand there's egos and, we don't know what goes behind the scenes, but we can only judge based on footballing performance. This team came up 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, something like that. And they were deducted or they were on the brink of being deducted points, and they go to have a season like last season where, different identity, very good in defense. They were close to Champions League, man. Like, how can you go from that to losing a manager? And of course, now he's going to try to change the way they play, and we can see it coming, that it's not going to work. And okay, we can be wrong, but as things stand, I just cannot, from a business point of view, understand how you can lose a manager that gets you this success, can probably guarantee you Premier League football for the next 2-3 years. I didn't understand it.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, we've had such a situation at Bournemouth. A lot of people were surprised when Iraola came into the managership, and Bournemouth wanted to take that step up, and they were doing well under Gary O'Neill as well. So there was a lot of backlash, because how can you fire a manager who's done so well for you? But they saw that as there's a certain style to play until you want to play 15th, 16th, get into the top 10. It's very harsh on Nuno Espirito Santo, and I don't like the way Marek Arnes has gone about it. But there is an angle to it. It's just I don't think any of us feel that they've done it in the right way and maybe chosen the right managers.
Fair enough. And Iraola, I would say, is slightly an exception. He was, an upcoming manager. You think that there is a lot of upside there with what you are getting, right? And Iraola could turn out to be like Man United. If Amorim goes, you see in the comments, we want Iraola and stuff. So he's got that ceiling. With Ange, I feel we've seen his ceiling. We've seen that he's a good attacking manager, but he's not is he able to do that step up? Like, there's a lot of risk with Ange as well.
I agree. But the signings were a sign. Like all these ballers that Forest were getting, that Edu was getting. I also think it was just not Maricanas. I think Edu and Nuno also didn't get along well, and there wasn't sort of alignment on terms of players and which direction the club wanted to go. So those things added up.
Yeah.
Somebody posted a comment on Twitter. Ange and Maricanis are the two worst people to be caught between in your gym sauna. And I just can't unsee it now.
I was really
there was
hoping it would be
pictures.
Mourinho. It'd be amazing if it was Mourinho. Mourinho and Maricanas, my God, blockbuster.
I think that would have lasted maximum 30 days. The outer end of it. Yeah. But all right, before we talk into Forest and what it means for the attackers and defenders, but let's kick off first with just an overall look at the schedule that's coming to just sort of get people back into the FPL group. Pras, take that away. You sent me this Lego Mane ticker earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I just like this chart because when midweek football comes, right, we just all need to stare at this a little bit more to understand minutes, to understand where rotation can come. Because now pretty much all the big teams, the players that we target have got midweek football and weekend football. So you have to sort of find pockets where maybe the minutes are not there. Maybe you can call out a rotation. So when I saw this, there were like 3 or 4 things that came to me, which is in the upcoming schedule. So the first thing I saw is Liverpool after game week 6. They're in game week 6, they're away to Palace. Then they travel to Istanbul to play Galatasaray, which is always a tough game in tough travel, 3.5 hours, 4 hours of travel. And then they go to London to play Chelsea away. So I think that block of 3 fixtures, 3 away games in a row with 2 tough games, is a little bit of, if I'm sitting there as a Salah owner, I'm not that worried. But if I'm jumping on an Ekitike, if I'm jumping on a Gakpo, if I'm even looking at a Wirtz, right now as things stand, they've got so many options that I'm thinking, which game are they going to miss, or which game are they going to get that 60th minute sub? So that's thing number 1. Arsenal, when I look at them, there's a lot of clamor to say Arsenal. I want Arsenal in game week 10, 11, 12. I'm one of those people who are saying I want Arsenal in game 10, 11, 12. The 2 fixtures that everybody wants them is away Burnley and away Sunderland, which is in game week 10 and game week 11. Now they've also got an away Champions League game in the middle of that. So 3 away games in a row, 2 against championship teams. Where is that rotation coming, or where is that minutes management coming? If Havertz is also back by then, like, I'm not scaremongering. These are questions that come into my mind, so I'm putting into words here. Where if Havertz is back, which one of these games is he starting? Or is he not starting at all? Things like that. So 3 away games in a row for Arsenal in 10, 11, 12, especially the 2 games where you probably want to captain somebody like a Gyökeres or a Saka, ? I think Chelsea is interesting. Coming out of this international break, they've got 4 away games in a row. So that's tough. That's tough on a schedule, especially when that includes away to Man United. It includes away to Bayern Munich. Of course, the 4th away game, which one is
Lincoln.
that?
I think it's Lincoln City.
So that one is B team anyway. But just came to me that people who could be fatigued, there could be some minutes management in that period. And that was really it. Palace, I think, is another one. People are thinking, Palace, Europe has started. Actually, they'll get a midweek free after game week 5. So when before they play Liverpool, they actually have a free midweek because Conference League schedules are slightly different in terms of how they work to the Europa League and Champions League. So just those early thoughts.
Ella, any thoughts over here?
Just a couple of things to add. I've been looking at SAR replacements and midfielders all week long, right? One thing is when you're looking at Semenyo's fixtures, the toughest fixture on paper is game week 5, where he plays Newcastle at home. Newcastle just before that game play Barcelona, which is probably their biggest game in Europe. So that maybe adds a little weightage to Semenyo's pointers because Bournemouth tend to outdo their opposition when it comes to intensity. So the toughest fixture that Semenyo will have will be a Newcastle team who just finished playing against Barcelona as well. So that adds to his weightage, in my opinion.
Just in general, I don't think rotation will be as much of an effect because we are still in early season. Like, let's go back to the Chelsea thing, for example. We can play Brentford. Bayern Munich, of course, is a tough one. But like, see, Manchester United, he's not going to rotate, obviously. So what we must also look at the difficulty of opposition after. Now, when you have a tough game in the Champions League and let's say a Burnley at home after, that's when we might see rotation. But I think with Chelsea, we are fine because, again, we will rotate in the Carabao Cup. Then the home games are Brighton and Liverpool, which again, I don't think we'll see much rotation. Chelsea is fine. Man City is also a little bit
I'm not sure
interesting.
about that, Zoph. I don't trust your manager. I genuinely don't trust your
He does
manager.
rotate a lot, but who we are talking about? We are
Yeah.
talking about primarily Joao Pedro and Palmer. And I think for FPL interest, maybe a Kukurea, maybe a Tosin.
Tosin, yeah, those guys.
And it's interesting to notice what he does immediately right now because Chelsea are a bye game week 6 onwards. So just to see a couple of weeks in terms of how he's treating these players around this midweek rotation is going to be interesting.
With Man City, though, what this doesn't mention is also this time in the Champions League, the game's on Thursdays. So Man City's game, in fact, against Napoli is on Thursday, and then they play Arsenal on the Sunday. That, I think, also must be taken into weightage. Right? It's different if you play on a Tuesday and a Saturday versus a Thursday and a Sunday. So that is something we must highlight as well. Arsenal advantages, I think, their opponents in general, I think in the Champions League, the toughest game is probably Atletico Madrid. Then apart from that, they're not like tough games like maybe till game week 12. I think they have a pretty easy group in general. So I think with Arsenal, it's not as much of a concern. And he doesn't really rotate as much as we've seen with Arteta. Right? The back four generally stays the same. In midfield, he has maybe more options.
But this will change now. I feel this will change now with Arteta. Like he's learned his lesson with all these injuries last year. Whether that's in the league or in the Champions League, but there's now a backup for every single position. They've literally bought backups this year. So I just generally think that, especially, players coming back from injury, or if you think of, the left back or the right back positions, like even with Arsenal, we'll have to say, okay, there's like 5 players who always play, but the rest of the 6 will not be always playing.
Yeah, we just need to see that because I still think he might play Kai behind. He still might want to play Gyökeres every game, but we are simply assuming that. Right? We don't really know for sure. Anything else to add, guys? We move on to the Discord dilemmas to kick off.
Sure.
Right. First one generally is a feeler for just post IB fixtures, right? Generally, we see this is from Pookie 2023. Post IBs thing can be a little bit unsettled. Certain players come in late, and he's just asking, is this usually a good opportunity to play chips? This question also holds more weightage, I'd say, for the next 2 IBs that we get. Most people, I guess, who have decided to play a chip have already deployed it. But this is more of a strategic question. Pras, your thoughts?
I don't know if there's a statistical, that you can say that there is a higher chance of low scoring week. Maybe there's this theory of the Saturday lunchtime game, which comes after the IB, that becomes a little low scoring because managers haven't had time to prepare with their players and stuff. But apart from that, I don't know. Like, is the question on IB itself or just using chips this early? Like, these are 2 very different and difficult to answer questions in their own right.
I think the last point he mentions is, isn't it a good idea to wait for another 1 to 2 weeks until things settle before using chips? So it's primarily.
But it's not got to do with IB. There'll be an IB every three weeks or 4 weeks, right? So I think remove the IB out of it. I think the IB comes into it only for me for bench boost reasons. And that also may actually not be a reason. But what happens is before and after an IB, so game week 7, game week 8 are good examples. People randomly start having yellow flags, and you're not sure if it's a yellow flag for yellow flag reasons or actually it's something. And there's lots of cases like this. So this week, think about Stan Larsen. He went to international duty. He's been sent. He could play 90 minutes this weekend, or he could play 0 minutes. No idea. So if you're on a bench boost, you're like, I can't play my bench boost now because the manager's going to lie and I can't do it. So I think the international break comes into it for specific chips like bench boost. But apart from that, it doesn't come into it. Now, wildcard free hit is a different discussion. Free hit should be based on your team. What did you start with? Were you on Salah? If you already have Salah and your team looks all right, then you don't need to free hit this week. If you don't have Salah or you've moved away from that structure or there is enough gain in your team, it's so team dependent because everybody will play a free hit and everybody will play it in different weeks. Every week you'll play a free hit. Everybody else will have a decent team as well. So Ella did on his team selection video. He was showing his game week 6 team. I think it's a very good team. But then if I free hit in that week, I'll probably have 6 or 7 of his players. But then when he will free hit, I'll have 6 or 7 of his players as well. So it really comes down to why are you free hitting? I think why you're free hitting is around that week, you can be more aggressive. Like I can triple up on Crystal Palace home to Sunderland because I don't care about game week 6. Things like that. So free hit is a whole other discussion. And then wildcard is very team dependent. I don't know. It's a very long answer. You can't really summarize.
But I think you summarized it well. I'm completely in agreement. LR, anything to add?
Just saying that only thing is there are a few random results post an international break. And I think maybe because some of the higher teams have more internationals away on duty, whereas some of the lower placed teams have been on the training pitch with the manager for a longer time. So maybe that leads to some weirdness in results, but it shouldn't take you away from using your chips, like Pras agreed. So that's like Pras said. So that's where I am.
And also, I think previous seasons, like Klopp, what he used to do is to rest Coutinho every time he went to Brazil and came back. But we're seeing that very less now. Most of the managers, they generally play the guys who have gone to South America as well, unless maybe they have a Champions League game on a Tuesday. But I think most of the players are expected to play, especially the guys who go to Brazil, Argentina, stuff like that, because they're usually too important to their teams to drop.
And we tend to think that international break, people get injured and whatever. Normally, they go from a Saturday to a Saturday. So that's to a full 2-week period. If they were not on international duty, they would have played 3 games, right? They would have played on that weekend. They would have played and the 2 midweeks in the middle. On international duty, everybody plays 2 games. So actually, it's less than what would have been the case had they stayed. It's just that when it's travel, people are playing in Bolivia's mountains and you're seeing them in oxygen masks, people start to worry a little bit. I mean, international break is international break, man.
Next year will be interesting because they're combining 2 IBs, I know, next year. So we're going to have 2 weekends off. Now imagine the players who don't actually go for internationals. What do you do with that time? How do you retain that sort of sharpness? So that's when I think this question becomes slightly more relevant.
Yeah.
And just to add a note on Wildcard, it might be too early to Wildcard, but it's not like we don't have enough information. There is a fair amount of information. You can just think that a Game Week 4 Wildcard relies more on long-term trends and what you know, perhaps than a Game Week 7, 8, 9 Wildcard, where you have more information, so you can take more gambles based on a stronger period of data compared to just relying on long-term trends. So there is a slight difference there.
The next question from Banan Trad, he's asking our thoughts on Walt's theory on the wildcard pod, whether we have underestimated effect of DEFCONs and everyone's going to move to a back 5 soon. I'm sort of in the middle ground. I think Walt sort of assumed that like they're going to hit DEFCONs almost in 80-90% of the games based on the 3-game sample size we have, but I think it's going to be closer to 60 to 70%. So you still back defenders from good teams, and if they have DEFCON potential, even better. Where are you guys?
Pras, your thoughts?
I mean, I just think we were on the right place preseason. Like I don't like to toot our horn too much in terms of that we were bang on or whatever. I think we were rightly rating the defenders preseason. We saw potential for DEFCON. We have got DEFCON. Some defenders have done better, like maybe put Senesi in there. Some defenders have done worse, put Nottingham Forest defenders in there. But on the balance, it has done what we expected. So the views should not change. I feel like the community is now overrating. Like we've reached a stage where we're overrating DEFCON, where we're saying this is the only way. Like it's like saying there is a defender that has now come. Okay, assists are now 4 points. Okay, let's a small change. It's not that now Munoz is 10 times better than Lacroix or Kirkes is better than Van Dijk. Everything depends on points, expected points. So how much expected DEFCON you have? What is the fixture? Senesi home to Brighton is not as good a fixture as a Gabriel home to Nottingham Forest. Like, I'm sorry. I know there's a price difference between the two, but there is still clean sheets which get you 4 points. So that's where I am. I felt there's a little bit too much of this, but I do agree. And this we said preseason. So this is why we're not changing our view, that this is a game changer in terms of the amount of defenders you pick, the types of defenders you pick. We said Konza is not a pick anymore for this reason.
And you mentioned Virgil also. You look, Van Dijk, he's absolutely bossing it in terms of DEFCON.
So all of these things we said, but doesn't mean that when Munoz is playing home to Sunderland, that you say Munoz is not as good a defender and I'll pick Senesi. Like, I'm not having that.
Ella, anything to add?
I just think that one of the factors is you can decide to now spend a little lesser money in defense if you think you want to spend more on the pitch in attack, because 4.5 million defenders or 5 million defenders who are DEFCON powered have gone up in terms of what they can offer you in terms of bang for buck. So, a couple of positions, you can take maybe a couple of million more out of defense and spend on attack. I wouldn't go as far. I would still like to keep maybe at max 6 million defender spot, but I don't think you need to go more than that, and you can save that 2 million and spend in attack. So I think that's like, in terms of how you view a team structure, there's a little bit of differentiation that can happen there.
Yeah, because the wildcard draft I suggested in our YouTube short, it had one 5.5 defender slot who can really move around. when the fixtures
Yeah.
change. From 6.0, you're talking about maybe like 5 or 6 defenders now. There's not that many. The variety is really in the real sweet spot we find is really in that 5 to 5.5 bracket now.
Yep. Before we move on, just a little plug. So these are questions that we ask our Discord to send to us every week. If you want to join the conversation with us and just hang with us, we like to keep that as a safe space. You can join our Patreon on patreon.com/the FPL Wire, and that's that. Just come hang with us, and while we are at that, hit the like and subscribe button as well. We wanted to try getting to 40,000 subscribers before the IB1 ends. There's still 4 more days to go. And I think we're about 70, 80 subscribers left there. So click those buttons and get us going.
41K, you mean?
41K. Yes, sorry, 41K.
Move on to the next one. And this relates primarily now to the manager change. Now, FPL Heritage asks an interesting question. Now, he says, whenever there's a manager change, how quickly do you reassess the team and how cautiously do you need to adjust the perception? Does Forest defense become a no-go even against Burnley and Sunderland? Are they going to become that bad so soon? So I'd like to start this. Have you guys seen this movie, The Damned United?
No.
Either of you guys?
Yeah.
But it's about Brian
Rings a
Clough.
bell, but
It's a Brian
oh
Clough
yeah,
movie.
of course. Yeah.
Seen it.
So the first thing he does when he goes into the club is he tells all the players to chuck their medals in the bin. It's like, because he won them through cheating. I can just picture Ange going into the Forest dressing room and telling everyone, chuck your European stuff in the bin because he won that playing negative football. So, right? So certain, and then you have the guys like Slot who comes and says, if it isn't broke, don't try to fix it. Don't try to change it too much. Try to tweak it. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind which camp that Ange lies. He's very much in the Brian Clough camp versus the Slot camp. I think he's going to go in there right away and try to put a stamp on things. And it's not going to be like, I think we'll see a change right this weekend. It's not going to be like 2-3 weeks to implement. He's going to go pretty gung-ho at Arsenal. They might still keep clean sheets against the teams where they dominate possession, where they dominate the ball, like a Burnley and Sunderland. But now earlier you'd have expected Arsenal to maybe win 1-0, 2-0 against Forest. I'm thinking now it feels like a 4-1, 5-1 kind of game. LR, you agree?
I agree, but there's also a little bit of new manager bounce to sort of account for, right? But maybe that generally happens if it gets really toxic with the old manager, which hasn't been the case with Nuno and Forest
We
at the
don't
moment.
know that though, right? We don't know what it's like with the players.
Yeah. But I will say though that like quality of defenders counts for something. And like from memory, I feel like when Ange had Van de Ven and Romero fit and at his disposal, Spurs weren't terrible defensively. I remember us having this conversation quite a few times. It's when those defenders were injured is when the problems in terms of defensive shape became a lot more significant. And I think Murillo and Milinkovic are just quality defenders. So if you're somebody like me who's on double Forest defense at the moment, fixtures are still fixtures. You have to hope, not that the first 3 games gave us any clean sheet points. You hope that out of Burnley and Sunderland, you clock one, and then you decide what to do. Like overreacting and thinking they're completely useless might be coming to an early conclusion without any proof. You can just wait and see.
Agreed. Like people are wildcarding because they have double, triple Forest. Come on, like we don't know yet, right? So I'm fully with you guys. Like, I think the one question mark is on defensive strength, which is a fair one. But again, fixtures can counter that because Ange is 1-0 up against Sunderland. What is he going to do? He's going to tell his team, keep attacking, don't stop. Keep the high line. So it's that mindset difference. I think that will be the biggest change. And the second is minutes for certain players, because we don't know who Ange will like. What kind of a striker does he like? Is it Chris Wood? Probably he starts with Chris Wood. Sounds like a safe option. But in 1, 2 or 3 game weeks from now, who is his preferred striker? We don't know. Zinchenko has joined. Like there was this talk of Zinchenko can invert, and he always likes one of his defenders to invert. So who misses out? Now Aina got injured, so maybe that's not an issue anyway. So there are these things which there's a lot less we know about this team than what we knew game week 1, because now everything is up for change. But is anything going to happen to Sells or Murillo or Milenkovic or Anderson? No, I don't think so. They're all class players.
But plus, I think this graphic we do need to take into account from Rob T. I do think the DEFCON potential will reduce for his defenders.
Oh, this for sure. I mean, this is not a doubt. The team doesn't play the same way, so it will reduce.
But to be fair, 15% is greater than 0%, right, boys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Against Arsenal, I do think they'll still clock it up.
Yep. The one thing though I think changes is when we look at the fixture ticker. This is important to discuss in this context. How we view certain teams from an attacking point of view on the fixture ticker changes. Like Arsenal playing Forest at home, like you mentioned, the attacking potential of a Gyökeres as a punt on free hitters, actually that goes a lot higher. So maybe if you were on free hit earlier, maybe you would want to go for two Arsenal defenders. I think now there's a case to go for two Arsenal attackers on free hit because Ange will just allow that kind of space. If you're looking at Chelsea's fixtures, game week 6 onwards, their fixtures read Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, Forest away, Sunderland at home. Earlier, you're thinking that game week 7, Liverpool at home, game week 8, Forest is a little bit icky. But now the perception changes when we're looking at game week 6 onwards. It's Brighton, Forest, and Sunderland. 3 really good fixtures from an attacking perspective as well. So those perception shifts in terms of how we view Forest as a fixture for our attackers changes.
Let's talk about Chris Wood now. So people holding him, does he become more attractive or a less attractive option? And I think I can't really answer right now because he might not favor that Wood kind of striker. They did sign other players. Now he might want somebody more mobile. But that being said, I don't think you come in and oust your top goal scorer from last season who scored 20 goals right away. I think it's a case of if you have him, you hold him. You're obviously not buying him right now anyway. You're buying him maybe in game week 5, 6, further down the line. That's what I am with Chris.
Yeah, no disagreement. And that's probably true of all positions. Like whichever Forest guys you have, the fixtures are good enough that you don't need to do something unless for people like me it was already in the works and it was planned.
Yeah, and the only thing is like you sort of saw game week 4 as a not great fixture anyway. See game week 4 out, use that to learn information, and then act in game week 5 and 6 should you need to. Like if Wood doesn't start against Arsenal, I would be tempted to sell him then, even despite the fixtures in game week 5 and 6.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What about Anderson Trust? As an owner, what is your perception of this?
It doesn't change much in my mind. Maybe the DEFCON potential reduces, but maybe the attacking input changes. I don't plan to play him. Yeah, it could increase. Like he's been on set pieces, but then Douglas Luiz will start. Like it's not worth, that position is not worth my time. Next week I plan to play him. That's it. Like until game week 9, I think I don't plan to play him. I'm not playing him this week. So it's one of those that it's not really an issue for me. Next week I plan to play him because I might be bench boosting. Even then I can choose not to. So I'm not that worried. I think it's an enabler. Had I known the information, I would have probably not gone there, maybe, because the DEFCON thing goes away. But there is that appeal.
We don't show.
Maybe. Yeah, you could have Douglas Luiz starting and then Anderson becomes a box-to-box guy with Gibbs White, right? And Anderson is amazing. I don't know if you watch the England games. I mean, of course, we're talking football, not FPL. Not every good footballer is a good FPL pick. But for 5.5, like I'm not going to do anything about it right now.
Elad, you had mentioned about the schedule now changing for Chelsea as well. With this Forest change, just walk our viewers through the Chelsea schedule that's coming and when they need to prioritize getting Palmer back if they've sold him already.
I think Chelsea have a good fixture list this week onwards, but game week 6 onwards just looks really, really good. Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, Forest away, Sunderland at home. And then they've got Wolves at home as well after the Spurs game. So in general, between now, I think in the next 7-8 game weeks, Chelsea are just a good buy, in my opinion. Especially Palmer owners who are thinking of getting rid this week. Now I think just wait because the fixtures are there for a while now.
I mean, we have to wait for team news anyway. But in general, I'm still not that optimistic on Palmer, even if he declares him fit, because I do think the minutes will be managed a little bit, keeping in mind there's Bayern Munich, Brentford, and Manchester United in the same week.
This is what I was saying with the Lego Mane thing. That 4 away games in a row will matter for somebody who has a little bit of a nigger.
Yeah.
So if I wouldn't be buying Palmer back right away, I'd give it till we get past the Manchester United fixture, wait for Brighton. That's when I would target buying Palmer again.
And he likes his goals against Brighton.
So it will be very interesting, the whole game week 6 swing with the whole free hit versus even Haaland, right? You mentioned in your video, Ella, Haaland has a good set of fixtures even after 6, similar with Palmer. These are both guys you'd want to bring hit on free hit in 6, but they have good fixtures beyond that.
As well. And then I'll just quickly address the wildcard window situation I did, right? If you're not looking like a deep wildcard, like a game week 13 wildcard, 6 and 8, 9 both emerge as good wildcard windows. Primary advantage, if you're wildcarding in game week 6, you can jump on Haaland and Palmer. And I think if you're wildcarding in game week 6, you go without Salah with the view to getting him back game week 9 or 10. Because and Pras actually rightly mentioned that, even between game week 6 and 7, Liverpool have tough away fixtures as well. So that gives me even more confidence to go without Salah. Game week 6, nobody's going to captain Salah. Game week 7, nobody's going to captain Salah. So it's good weeks to make those bets against. Or you could just sell Salah for Haaland in game week 6, use Haaland as a captaincy option in 6, 7, 8, and then wildcard after to get Salah back into your team or Isak back into your team game week 9 onwards. So the two windows pre-13 are 6 and 9 in my opinion, which dovetail nicely with Arsenal and Chelsea's fixture turns as well.
Anything to add, Pras, on wildcards before we discuss the bench boost potentially next week?
Wildcard, I have lots to discuss, man. Like, there's a lot of things going in my head in terms of, like, for me, Wildcard 13 is very, very, very set in stone, right? What is not is the free hit. I can play it or not play it, because I feel if people are looking at this period, right? Yes, Salah is not needed between 6 to 8, but he's the best captain in game week 12, game week 13, game week 14. Or maybe 13 you can argue is between him and Haaland. But what I mean is, let's just discuss premiums. So I think Salah is very much needed 4 and 5, which most people have him for. Salah is very much not needed 6, 7, 8. And he's
8
needed
is debatable,
again.
But yes, 6, 7 at least.
Okay, so 6, 7. So you can say I don't need Salah for those 3 weeks. Then go back to when do you need Haaland? You definitely need Haaland in 6. He has good fixtures in 7 and 8. But I argue, are you going to captain him in 7 or 8? Because in 7, Bruno has a great fixture. This guy has a good fixture. Gyökeres has a great fixture. So at least in my head, I can also counter that with, I'm not going to use up all these transfers to move Haaland in, move Haaland out. I'm just going to get Gyökeres from game week 7 instead of Haaland. Then I have a Salah, Palmer, Gyökeres structure, which also works. So I think there's so many ways to play this because the chips allow this flexibility for you to not go certain routes. The wildcard allows you that routes anywhere. Free hit even adds to that. At the end of the day, people will need to use a chip to navigate this Salah Haaland switch or some switch between 6 to 8. Whether that's a free hit, whether that's a wildcard, somebody will have to use a chip. And if you're using a chip, your teams will look similar. So my point is why I'm so fixated on wildcard 13 is because wildcard 13, you will have to have Salah and Haaland. Have you looked at the fixtures in game week 13 and game week 14? Both of them play promoted teams. So, and their fixture, their captaincy also starts to rotate. So if you're looking to wildcard earlier, have a plan not only to get Salah back or to get something back, also have a plan to get Haaland also by game week 13, because I genuinely feel by game week 13, the structure is Salah plus Haaland from game week 13. That's all I will say. Ultimately, everyone's team, you can think of your paths and come up with any players, right? I mean, we all have transfers.
Yep. With Haaland, it's interesting.
The only thing...
Go ahead, Ella.
Go on.
No, you go on.
Go on.
I was just mentioning with Haaland, it's also interesting that the supply line seems to be dropping like flies. Today we got news that Marmoush is also injured out for a period. We have Cherki, who was out for a couple of months. I do want to observe and watch Haaland also for a little bit. Because again, I think the supply line, I just felt it last pod as well, is already quite limited this season and now just seems to be getting worse.
I mean, they still have Doku, Savio, Oscar Bob.
Yeah, but Doku and Savio are the Chuckle brothers, bro. They're literally like Theo Walcott.
Foden. They have Foden.
I mean, Foden. Don't know what's it. I think since Grealish left, he's just depressed probably. His party buddy's gone.
I mean, Marmoush should be fine. I mean, look, Haaland looks back, right? I mean, I'm not counting the
he's still getting all the chances, but I think Marmoush being out is definitely negative for Haaland because he was playing sort of that inside forward role on the left. Ultimately, you're going to put Doku there. Doku just spams crosses, which Haaland doesn't even know where it's going half of the time.
Did you read that chat though? There's an article which says that Doku has been spending a lot of time with Erling on the training pitch, where he constantly talks about how they are developing signs to decide when he wants to cross, when he wants the ball, all of that. So they've been working on that little angle on the side as well. The thing is, like Pras said, right, you're going to need Haaland in 6. So you need to make sure you have a plan for Haaland in 6, whichever way, whether it's transfers, a chip, that's how you do it. And then you figure. The only point actually that I was coming to Pras is by game week 13, the only thing that could change is maybe we live in a world where Isak is getting 40% of Liverpool's goals. Like if that sort of situation...
Salah and Isak, man. Like, home to Sunderland, away to Leeds.
I'm with you. I'm just saying that what might change by that time is goal share and captaincy in terms of how we're viewing certain candidates.
Yeah,
Because at the
fair
end of the
enough.
day, you can captain one player only, right? So how we're looking to split the difference there, it could change. We don't know at the moment, but by that time only that one piece of information that could change. And actually, that's
100%, 100%.
like the biggest macro point that I'm interested that I think is going to change significantly in the next 6-7 weeks out of everything is how Liverpool goal share changes. Like I think that's the most key information that we need before we decide what to do with the big hitters there.
Yeah, which is why I think just talking last point on macro is a lot of, and I'll talk about this in my team selection. I think a good strategy would be to watch another 2 weeks. You'll get 2 weeks
For sure.
of Salah watching, watch another Haaland watching, and then go into Game Week 6 with 2 free transfers and decide. You want to play a free hit, play a free hit. You want to change Haaland to Salah to Haaland, change Salah to Haaland.
No.
So I think keeping that flexibility is the way to go, because yes, there is a lot we need to learn still.
Yeah, that was the thinking, in fact, because I knew that if I didn't want to use my wildcard in Game Week 6, I would like to have 3 or 4 strike transfers till Game Week 6. So I commit to a structure with Salah, Haaland,
Right.
how I do it. Unfortunately, injuries have been scuppering those plans, but I still have moves to enable that without using the wildcard if I need to.
I like the moves you mentioned in your team selection video of doing something like Haaland did for Watkins and then getting Bruno in that Salah spot. It's a self-contained
Bruno
move.
or Palmer, whichever.
Palmer, I think, requires a bit more money, right? You have to keep
I
some
have
money in the
exact for
bank.
Palmer right now, but I also feel like I might need a defender move anyway, and Murillo is a good sell for any 4.55 million defender at that time. So that is decent enough to fund it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about our bench boost plans? Now, we've all been looking at now the few windows for it. Now, game week 5 and 8 are stood out. Now, primarily the reason for this being because we all own Dubravka and at least one Burnley or a Leeds defender, right? These 5 and 8 look ideal for that now. But has the whole Nuno sacking and Ange coming in changed our perception of that game week 5 fixture? We were obviously hoping for a 0-0. Now it feels more like a 1-1, 2-1. And Pras had mentioned on the last spot, the problem with game week 8 is it's right after international break. And we do want to get this trip out of the way before we wildcard. So I think game week 5 still looks like the best time to use it.
I'm
Right?
thinking this as well. I mean, if you can get 15 players that are fit by game week 15, that all have a fixture, reasonable enough fixture. You see, we fall into this that I want all my 4 benches to have a hall fixture. That is not possible because it's very rare to happen that they should all be fit. They should all have a hall fixture, because you know what? If they'll have a hall fixture and one of your 11 doesn't, then you bench them instead. Like I have a very nice fixture with Strand Larsen, who, if he's fit, then ideally, if I wasn't playing bench boost, I could probably play him and bench Reinders, who is away to Arsenal. So am I bench boosting because I'm afraid to bench Reinders in any fixture, or am I bench boosting because Stan Larsen has a great fixture? It's things like this where I just think you get it out of the way, man. If you have 15 players who are playing in a fixture that is all acceptable, just get it out of the way.
Yeah. The point I'll make though is you have a path to choose. Like I am prioritizing, because I've got a decent team for free game week 6, right? That I don't free hit in game week 6. So then I can't afford to use a transfer to upgrade Gyu to a player that sort of facilitates my bench boost. So that's the path I'm choosing. So you have to choose whether you're facilitating bench boost path in game week 5, or you're facilitating getting Haaland in game week 6 without a free hit chip. So that is the real decision you need to make. The only one thing is that I wouldn't let Forest's fixtures against Burnley now, because Ange is at the wheel, put you off from a bench boost. I think that's perfectly fine as a fixture. It's going to be difficult any week to get a better fixture than that, because Burnley is probably the worst team in the league, and that fact as a fact doesn't change at the moment, right? And the only one caveat though is game week 5 is the first time we will see teams play after Europe as well. So if there are any surprises there, then we could get caught out by that. So these are the pros and cons that you need to weigh up.
Did you guys see Perry is injured?
Yes.
Or could be injured?
I think Perry is injured. That's what multiple outlets have reported.
So we could have another 4.0 keeper. But yeah, you're not going to be changing keepers and playing your bench boost. But if somebody's on wildcard and want to go do their bench boost with a Leeds keeper instead of a Burnley keeper, you could have a short-term window to do that.
Nice. Good shot.
We move on to the midfielder replacements, guys.
Sure. I covered a fair bit about this on my team selection video as well. But in terms of just like which way would you go, let's say in the premium bracket, which is 8 million and above, in the 6 to 8 million bracket, and then 6 million or below. Which midfielders would you guys go towards? I'll come to you first off.
So let's bring up several stats for one of my players. I had a very difficult relationship with last season, Semenyo. This is the image you sent me, Ella. These are Semenyo stats only for home games last season. And this is pertinent to mention now because Bournemouth have 3 home games in the next 4. Now, most of the games you see over here, he's racked up over 0.4 NPXGI. There's about, I think, 14 or 15 games over here. So he scored 7 goals.
These are all his games sorted by NPXGI last year. And the data to look at is that 9 out of the top 10 games where he got the highest NPXGI were at home. So he's sort of a home monster when it comes to accumulating good underlying data. That's the point that I was trying to make.
Just the one thing over here I do want to draw your attention to is with Semenyo, the problem is he's a very low XG, high volume shooter. Now look at the XG per shot over here. Bournemouth versus Newcastle. The NPXG is 1.46, but the average XG per shot, 0.05. Then you see Liverpool, etc. So just generally 0.1 XG. That's the thing. Of course, now things change. Players improve, strategies change. He might have the breakout season, but that is a thing we just have to caveat with Semenyo.
Yeah. So I was obviously I've been looking at Semenyo closely. So I was talking to our friend FPL Schofield, Brady, the guy who plays cricket as well. He's a Bournemouth fan, and I wanted his insight on what he feels about Semenyo as well. And so the point is that he used to be a high volume, low XG shooter. Now this season, his shots have a decent amount of XG chance as well. So we all feel like maybe he's leveled up as well. And I asked him, but will Clivert coming in, sort of let Semenyo not take as many central positions? And he's like, Clivert's going to face a tough time breaking into the starting 11 because Bournemouth haven't set a foot wrong at the moment. So his opinion was he is not even confident whether Clivert immediately jumps into the starting 11 because whoever they're playing, even Brooks has been man of the match in a performance or two as well. So it might not be a case where Clivert is immediately in the starting 11 also.
And we have the numbers here from Rob T for the next 6 games. Bournemouth are in 9 for terms of projected goals scored. They're, I think, 4th for XG overall right now. So it's just a good team to invest in Iraiola's attack. And like you mentioned in the video, early on in the season is where you'd want to go. Pras, your thoughts on Semenyo?
Yeah, I think he's a good pick, man. I think the trajectory is great, and the team is doing really well. So I can't fault it. Like, he's of the price point where it works for certain teams. I could have gone to him last week, but I didn't because I had other things that I want to do with the money, right? So it becomes into what is your path. Like, it's very hard actually with all these chips to do content, like to give one answer. So I think he's good if you have 7.5 million to spend and your budget is around 6 to 7.5. He's one of the best picks that you can get. But if you want to save some money, do other things in the next week or so, then there are good options in 6 to 6.5 billion as well.
Yeah, he's a good pick if you're in the market for a pick. He suits both requirements, short term as well as long term. If you're in the market for a very long term pick, I would go Pack because he offers route to points, and Semenyo's only routes to points are open play threat. So it depends on that. I actually think, having simmered and thought about this even more, the right answer is probably Ndiaye, because the one thing that was worrying me about Ndiaye was the fact that 63rd minute sub against Brighton. And from what I hear, it was because he had a knock, which is why he had to get subbed off. That said, I do believe in the quality of McNeil and Alcaraz as subs. But look at his
and also
XG. Yeah, XG per shot 0.43. The problem is I do believe that Ndiaye is still one of the best attackers. So he's firmly first choice, and that the front four is going to stick. And the amount of creation that Dewsbury Hall and Grealish do, like Ndiaye and Striker are going to be at the end of that. And he's still got pens. So, if you're looking for somebody cheaper, he's my number one option at the moment. And I still might go there at the moment.
I mean, Ndiaye could make free hit 4 team. He could make free hit 6 team. And just a general good pick around those. Like, obviously, his fixtures around, apart from 4 and 6, aren't the best.
Game week 5, there's a problem, right? If you want to bench boost, ideally, it's not great away to Liverpool.
So, and so game week 5 is the problem. But then LR is not on the bench boost path anyway. So he's got Giu, right? So again, path dependent, but I think as a long-term solid pick that you want, that will trickle points, and you don't have any issues. Both Semenyo and Ndiaye are probably the best two. Like, people are high on Grealish as well as an option. I think he's great as well, but I don't know why you'd spend more on Grealish than Ndiaye. it sounds silly to say because look at the quality of players.
It's
Grealish
also
is
root to
way
points,
above.
plus. I don't agree with you there. I think the difference is not 0.5, it's only 0.2. And I think Grealish just is feeling a lot more talismanic in terms of minutes. And we know,
It's too low sample size to say
I
that.
know, I
Man.
agree, but
Ndai has pens and stuff.
and I has
The most interested thing I'm in is if Grealish, instead of 11-11 defcons, hit 12-12 defcons and does it again one more time, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how. I don't know in which world Jack becomes a defcon monster, but if he's becoming a defcon monster, I'm looking for reasons to get him because it's just a fun player to watch as well.
And Jack hasn't scored yet, and I'm telling you, Jack and Maguire, these guys love shots. Any excuse to take a shot anytime.
And he's playing Villa this week.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't. For me personally, if I was buying, if I was going for an Everton mid, there's no contest between these three guys. It would be Jack for me.
It's tough.
Zoph is a bit of a romantic, so that's
because Enda has got pens, and I think that matters. And I think he might be the goal scorer. The realization when I did this article as well as the video and covered so many midfielders is I feel like we are 2 weeks away from, let's say, a 9-man shortlist becoming a 2-man or a 3-man shortlist. Like, I do think the next 2 game weeks will give us those answers. But unfortunately, a lot of injuries in midfield have happened now. So there are 2 or 3 picks like Ndai and Semenyo and Paqueta who are safer at the moment. There are a lot of picks on the fringes who are not as safe. Like Harvey Elliott might just be the pick if Unai Emery throws him into the mixer right now. But we just unfortunately have to wait for 2 more weeks because transfers are precious to get that info.
So I want to bring up the Bruno stats process you guys have sent me also, because somebody like me now who got rid of Palmer went for somebody like Acuna. Going to Bruno now is an option. Just be like, admit I got it wrong. Should I have gotten Bruno? But that being said, I'm looking at Bruno more around game week 6 or 7, maybe as a more of a replacement for Wirtz than bringing him now. Because I think maybe the next couple of fixtures you can take him on. What are your thoughts there?
You can take on Bruno in any week, man, because there's no week where he's like a Salah type. You'll think, oh, he's going to score 15 points. I
think maybe game week 7 is the one in the short term. I would maybe look at the Sunderland
7,
one.
yes, he'll be well captained again, like he was in Burnley. So I think if you want to cover captaincy especially, then getting him before 7 makes sense. But taking him on, I think LR has said this in the past, you can take on, even in 7, get Bumo and take him on. Like, I don't think, even as an owner, like I'm now almost, I'm not discouraging, but I'm just saying, he's not at any point a player that you have to get. It's just a player that you get and you leave him and then he just does his stuff. And people who don't have him are not scared. People who have him are not scared of other players because you just go like any week, I've got Bruno, man. Like free hitters have got Semenyo, you go, I've got Bruno. They don't have Bruno. So he's just a very good pick, and maths tells us, which is what this chart is telling us, that 6 points a game is bloody good. That's 220 points a season. For 9 million, that's a steal. So if you are of that mindset, points per game, you know that in 3 game weeks, he will get one free kick in which he'll get an assist. He'll get 1 jammy assist and 1 blank.
20 penalties a season, going by the current run rate.
10 penalties a season. So, I just think he's a good pick. Don't need to get him this week, though.
You know what the funny bit is, Zoph? I feel like we could have gotten more pens in the first 3 games. It's just how our players are existing at the moment. Genuinely, I feel like we could have gotten more pens in the first 3 games. Yeah.
I mean, having a big, raucous home crowd obviously makes a big difference, right? It's been a trend. Manchester United get penalties.
No. You know what the funny thing is? I feel like also some of the astute managers did go for Bumo. And I think they're laughing at the moment because I think he's very, very good for game week 5 and 6. We did have an inclination towards this. It's just that we saw the Brazilian man that
Cunha, I think, would have been perfectly the same thing. I don't think
I know. But like Bumo has slightly more outlets to points where in game, I think game week, like I'd be very surprised if Bumo doesn't return in game week 4. Like I think that game is made for him. Transition guy against the City defense. It's a Bumo game. And he's got that extra bit where he's got set pieces from one side as well. And they're really good set pieces. I keep mentioning them. So also an underrated pick at 8 million.
I like that you mentioned 4 and not 5, LR. We know your loyalties where they lie.
Because y'all don't play as higher defense as City does in terms of just conceding big chances. That's why.
And any other names? Let's talk about Paqueta a little bit. It was interesting to see Walsh call him outright the best pick in the game. And do think there's something the player has turned a corner a little bit. He scored for Brazil. He's got the whole betting scandal done now. He's playing in a number 10 role. I like his positioning a lot better in this back four than he was under the back five. Penalties, on his locker. He's come very close to hitting DEFCON in all 3 games. I think he hit them in one of them. He looks he's going to be good for that. Secure minutes, guys, who get these DEFCON points. And is he taking a lot of set pieces also? No, I didn't pay attention because Ward-Prowse was playing prior to that. But I think now who's a set piece taker with Ward-Prowse? Because I don't think Ward-Prowse will start now. You're going to see Fernandez and Souček in midfield most games, right?
I think Paqueta is taking them, I think.
I think maybe Bowen on one side, but I'll have to look into it a bit more.
Yeah, not aware of that information myself.
Pras, talk to me about Paqueta. I was just having a look at his numbers also on Solio, and I have a decision to make up this week, right? So I can go something like a Semenyo and Mateta versus a Gyökeres and a Paqueta, who have potentially more routes to points, penalties in their locker. Which way would you lean?
I mean, depends on your wildcard window, I think. So if you're looking for a 7-8 wildcard, then I don't think you need to go Paqueta, right? I mean, the fixtures are not there. So same that LR is thinking. If he's going to wildcard before, then you don't need it.
It's interesting because now Paqueta becomes my 8th attacker. Now, if I go for a Semenyo, Reinders becomes my 8th attacker, which feels a bit scary to me because Reinders is the guy you can have just go brace every game.
Reinders is the biggest beneficiary from Mamouche's injury. Like, he'll probably play 10 in this game if Foden is not ready. So he is, it becomes a little trickier. It depends on team structure. I think Paqueta is a good pick. Models love him because he's on penalties, now nailed on penalties, and his minutes are decent. So in terms of set pieces, he has not yet actually taken any corners or free kicks. Ward-Prowse took 10, but he's not playing every game. Bowen has taken a few. Diouf has taken. Matheus Fernandes. Actually, Paqueta has taken 1 corner so far this season. So he could, but I would pick him because of minutes, position, DEFCON, and penalties rather than set pieces.
The biggest takeaway from this midfielder conversation is something actually you, Zoph, and the listeners should sort of delve into and commit to, is when are you likeliest to wildcard? Because that just changes so much in terms of which pick you go for. And you sort of need to zero down on which window are you firming over. So because then you can go for a short-term pick versus a long-term pick, because Paqueta isn't a short-term pick because the fixtures dictate that. So that sort of will help you with the decision.
I'm definitely
as well as
at a more long-term thing, but I think what will determine it more is my outlook on Palace. And let's spend some time on that now. Since we last spoke, Palace have had a lot of injuries. We've had Sarr confirmed out. We now have Wharton confirmed out. I'm not sure about Pino, what's happening there. In general, I think now Palace have never been a team that have been very proficient in attack. They don't boast very great XG numbers. Now, you look at Sunderland, yes, very limited sample size, very kind fixture schedule, but they've shown they're not defensive walkovers like a Sheffield United of previous seasons. And we've seen West Ham also improve. And then the fixtures after that are Liverpool and then Everton away. So they're not necessarily banker fixtures, I would think, any of these guys. They might struggle for creativity. So our Palace stocks down a little bit. Now, if I have to weigh a Mateta and a Gyökeres, that's the difference between a Semenyo and a Paqueta, that 1.5 right now. Pras, as a Mateta owner, how are you feeling now?
I mean, I have him, so I wouldn't worry. But if you look at Drop T's numbers, the markets have already placed that, right? So what you're saying is already reflected in the markets. If you look at this week's odds, for example, I know we'll get to that probably closer to the end. But look at that. Crystal Palace are only 1.69 expected goals, home to Sunderland. Less than Newcastle, home to Wolves. Now, Wolves aren't that great, but the markets have already reflected that point. But even within that, you can argue that if Crystal Palace score 2 goals, Mateta will be involved in one of them. Like, they're a team that only score with 3 or 4 players. And out of them, 2 are out. So Munoz will be involved, Mateta will be involved. You know it if they score 2 goals. So that's at least my thinking here, that he's still a good pick. But I think if you want a long-term pick, then Gyökeres' entry point is also great this week. There's a whole other discussion to be had on the vibes with Gyökeres. You know, like it's not something that models pick up. It's not something that even ITUS picks up, or maybe the ITUS picks up, that he seems to be a little bit struggling. Like, is it the fixtures? Is it just that his preseason was a little bit disrupted? Like, look at him for Sweden. Sweden had a pathetic international break. They're almost out of the World Cup, I think. So there is that little bit of doubt, but I think good players in good teams just end up doing well anyways.
And with Gyökeres, is more of a long-term play, right? Again, I looked at my path on Solio a little bit now. Now, let's say I make a transfer this week. Game week 5, like we discussed, ideally you want to save a transfer. Then game week 6, either I free hit or make those 2 transfers. So either way, I'm going to arrive in game week 7 with a maximum of 2 free transfers. Now, at that point, what do I prioritize? Now, am I going to sell Watkins now that week when he has Burnley at home? Probably not. So will I sell like Mateta that week when he has Everton away? Probably not. So if I have to sort of get Gyökeres in now, it sort of feels like that sort of prepares me, saves a few transfers down the line.
I'm planning to do Mateta to Gyökeres in 7.
Exactly.
I'll tell you this, so that if you're making those 2 transfers in 6, I'm thinking you implied that getting Haaland in.
Yes.
So if you're getting Haaland in 6, and let's say you're getting Palmer or Bruno along with him, your captaincy for 6-7 is covered. You don't necessarily need Gyökeres in 6-7. Like, you'll be happy to captain Haaland over him in 6. You'll be happy to captain Haaland against Brentford even in 7, because it's Haaland, right, versus Gyök. So that is something that you have to weigh up. There is not going to be a necessary transfer, because you're again looking at captaincy. He's a great pick, but you can take your time to sell Watkins then.
Yep. That's a fair shout. So I think that's what's really going to determine my midfield replacement, who have more faith in Mateta or Gyökeres.
And I think Pras makes a really good point also, because like, why are we all thinking about Gyökeres really hard? Because he's starting striker, playing 90 minutes on a top 4 team in the league called Arsenal. But all 3 of us have that little lack of 100% confidence because of the vibes he's giving away, right? So the advantage of, again, waiting till game week 7, if he's an obvious transfer, I think we'll make that transfer. And if he isn't an obvious transfer, by then we'll be aware of that also. I think we'll get our answer by game week 7 if we're not jumping right now.
Fair shot. Any other names you want to discuss in midfield? Now we're talking primarily as potential Palmer replacements, Cunha replacements, Sarr replacements over here. So Bumo, like you mentioned, good numbers. Maybe, but again, away to Man City doesn't feel like the best entry point, right?
It's a good entry point. It's a good entry point, I'll tell you that. He's returning this week.
That would be interesting. Anything else over here?
No. Only thing is, the benefit if you're not committing to the 5.5 million bracket or below, let's say you commit to Pack 10, he's a good pick. But there's a world in which Harvey Elliott is just a better short-term pick in my opinion. He's the only one I'm really, really interested in, because I like Villa's fixtures for the next 4. So if you can wait a week and see if Emery throws him in immediately, then maybe next week you buy an Elliott over Pack 10.
So let's do our midfielder ranking. Top 3 replacements over here. Pras, I'll go with you first.
Budget dependent, chip dependent, man.
I mean, right now, I'm giving you carte blanche in terms of budget. Carte blanche, go for it. And no Bruno, no picking Bruno.
What?
Okay, fine, pick Bruno. I was just joking.
I mean, obviously Bruno is number 1. Okay, I won't pick Bruno. Let's keep it to Semenyo. I think the closer Semenyo gets to Mbumo's price, the more I'm just going to say Mbumo's the better pick. So, and the closer we get to game week 7. So if you're not picking Semenyo now and you're thinking I'll get him in 2 weeks, then I'll be recommending Mbumo, because he has set pieces and their prices are getting closer and closer by the week. And if everybody has Semenyo, get Mbumo, right? I mean, or somebody else, like there'll be other picks that will come around. So, but for now, I will say Semenyo, I will say Paqueta, and I will say Ndai.
LR?
Although I like Dewsbury Hall as well. If you wanted to go completely all the way down, use that money for something else.
That's fair.
Semenyo, Ndai, Elliott.
Interesting. Semenyo, Grealish, and Paqueta for me.
It's just that the game's changed this year, man. And because Semenyo is so reliable, only an open play threat, I feel scared making that transfer, because there are routes to points available for every transfer.
Can I give you a shout? Actually, nobody said this. Gibbs White.
Oh, yeah, under Ange. That's interesting.
Forrest, yeah, that's a very interesting shout. Yeah.
That's the Madison Road now.
Yeah. That's a good one. I can afford that price. He's 7.5?
Yeah, I think maybe even lower now. He might have dropped a bit.
And I think he'll take pens if Wood's not starting. That makes it even more interesting. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good shot. I'll be waiting. I like that shot a lot. I like the player. I don't see him not starting in that Forest team. Great shot.
And Nusa in the
Like you
chat
said,
also
the
mentions
perspective has to
Simons.
change. Xavi Simons also, that's
Yeah.
also a great one.
Yeah.
I think those are two
I
good wild
I don't
shots.
see a world in which Simmons doesn't start. He just has to start in that
Has to.
first team. Such
I'd
an
agree.
upgrade. Yeah.
And they're lacking in that position. They're playing Sar,
Yeah.
Pape Matis Sar. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And they're playing Brennan, who was terrible as well. He has to start. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk some forward picks.
Sure.
I think we just touched upon Mateta, like you guys mentioned. I completely agree. Ultimately, I think they score fewer goals, but his goal share does go up now, primarily because there are not many goal scorers. But I'm still a little bit worried because it's a transitional team without the progresses. And this is what we spoke about with Eze gone. As long as Wharton exists, we don't mind. But with both of them gone and the outball also missing in Sar's absence, I'm a bit worried. But again, we trust the manager, right? We spoke about this earlier in the last pod, in fact. Iraola and Glasner.
No, but like, did you hear what Walsh had to say? And I agree with him. Like, Palace have this 7 to 10 game week period a game where they're literally top 3, top 4 team in the league. But the moment they lose 2 or 3 cogs out of that front 6, 8, the wheels do fall off quite drastically because the dip in quality is huge. And you're talking about losing Wharton and Sar, the guy who progresses the ball and the guy who stretches the defense. So Mateta has gone down in my eye, but the fixtures are fine. But where I would be really scared of people owning Mateta earlier, now I'm like, okay, it's all right. If it has to happen, it'll happen. Like, I think his hat-trick potential has gone to now he'll probably get a goal. That's how I maybe see something like that.
Fair enough. Let's talk about some of the other forwards over here. In terms of XG, I'm not seeing many really stands out. I think Ekitike now, I think it's only a prick for the free hitters. You're not going there with Isak. We also need to give it a couple of weeks before buying. Apart from that, I don't think there are any names that are standing out. Plus, as forwards, you really look to buy. Gyökeres, like you mentioned, is obviously high on the radar. There's Haaland, but I don't think you can get to him unless you're on a wild card or using 2 free transfers this week.
Pedro?
If Stan Larsen is fit, I'm gonna. I mean, Pedro is assumed, right? I mean, if people don't have him and they are looking for one, it's a good entry point to get Joao Pedro. But I'm gonna say Stan Larsen is still an option, man. Like, don't give up on him if he's fit. I think his fixtures are great. He's playing all 3 promoted teams, especially if you have a longer term horizon.
You need the fitness news, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think a striker we are going to be really interested in next week that we are not interested right now because we refuse to take risks in life is Wissa. I don't see a world in him with
That's a
him
good
not
shot.
starting. I think he starts immediately. I would be inclined to maybe punt that way if I chose to do it on a wildcard because Newcastle have decent fixtures, like up and down, and they're still Newcastle United. So that's interesting. Unless he immediately throws Messi.
How do you know that like which one will start this weekend? We just don't, right? Because you argue Voldemort is definitely more up to match fitness.
I think both will start.
That's an interesting point. He's up to more match fitness. That's a good point actually. So yeah,
both will start. Plus, you think Wissa will play wide?
No, I think he'll go like a 3-5-2 or something. Like Gordon is not there, right?
Gordon is not there, but you have Barnes, Elanga, Murphy.
I wouldn't touch these players, man. Like we can have a discussion and have our crystal ball, but
These are
Eddie Howe is
maybe
not
free
going to
hit
give
picks.
us any clues.
Maybe in free hit you go for a Barnes, but that's about it.
But even on free hit, I can tell you 3
I wouldn't go Barnes.
Strikers.
Yeah. Exactly. I wouldn't go Barnes. And another, just a shout while we were talking about strikers, is a stock that you buy low, Ollie Watkins. With fixtures next 4 minutes guaranteed, and performance might improve.
This will backfire, but I'm low-key so excited about Watkins and Wirtz.
Yeah.
And I won't say it until Stan Larsen is fit, but also him. I'm low-key so happy. People are wildcarding away from these players or free hitting away from these players.
Is this like a real so happy or is it like a pep? I'm so happy.
You won't believe. I'm so happy.
Same feeling actually as you. I mentioned it on the Walsh video as the team selection. The most confident I'm about a pick in the next 2 weeks is Wirtz. I just love him in high position games. I'm excited about that pick too, like you.
So yeah, the forward thing looks a bit barren. So are we recommending anyone to buy this week? Gyökeres, I guess, plus if you had to buy?
Yeah, I think Gyökeres is high on the list, but you have to know that you're making a commitment. When you buy a Paqueta, right, is fine. Like you can also bench him some weeks. With Gyökeres now, you are in that structure. You're in that structure where you have a Watkins, a Gyökeres, and Joao Pedro. You're top heavy, so you have committed to that structure. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. But there's no top heavy jokes here.
I want to say one thing.
I was tempted.
If you're not free hitting in Game Week 6, don't buy Gyok. I think that's a wrong path then. Because you will need Haaland in Game Week 6 and you might need Palmer in Game Week 6, and those players cost money. And
Yes.
so be very
Good point.
wary of if you're whether free hitting in Game Week 6 or not. Because if you're not free hitting in Game Week 6, Gyökeres might be a liability.
Good shot.
Although you can also play him, LR. Like there's a world in which you don't free hit in Game Week 6 and also
His
just have
point
Salah
is,
and
no, that's not what he's saying, Pras. I think he's saying if you want to buy Haaland, then you likely can't
You
get
need
Haaland
money. He's
alongside
expensive.
Gyökeres.
No, but
Like, yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, if you're not free hitting in 6, it's not that you have to have Haaland.
Yeah, you don't have to, but it's very nice to have Haaland against Burnley at home.
I get it, but yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you wanted to save transfers and like, look, I'll tell you what, if you want to look at it analytically, from including Game Week 6, so I'm including Game Week 6 in this, Game Week 6 to Game Week 12, Salah and Haaland are bang on, equal points, equal predicted points, equal weeks in which you can captain them, equal weeks in which you don't captain them. So to say that I'm going to change my structure, what the model will tell you, you're using 2 transfers for nothing, because over 6 weeks they're going to do the same. So that's also a thought process where you say, look, I'm going to lose to the crowd who's going in Game Week 6 for Haaland. I'll lose to them, but I'm going to save 2 free transfers and I will gain on them by having a Kukurea when they can't. They've already used up their transfers. Or I'll gain on them by having a Saka when he's fit. So I think there's so many approaches that you can take whichever path and it's not too bad.
But my devil's advocate argument or counter to this is, let's say most people who are considering Gyökeres right now are sort of establishing structure right now. So if you are sort of establishing structure right now or on Wildcard and deciding whether you should go Gyök or not, I think Haaland is a better pick 6, 7, 8. I just think he's a better pick 6, 7, 8. And so you plan for that and you hope that your other 12, 13 picks are robust enough so that you're spending your transfers on the most important players in the game, which are Haaland and Salah, and try to optimize that. Like that's the only counter.
Fair, but your Haaland it comes without Gyök also. That's what I'm trying to say. Salah can stay with Gyök.
But
because of
it's a 2-player shift. It's genuinely a 2-player shift. Because Haaland Palmer is Salah Gyök. And that's how you view it. That's all.
Not Haaland
Although
Palmer.
with Gyök you can get Palmer.
Haaland Palmer is not Salah Gyökeres. I think there's a 1 million difference there. I'm sorry, not Palmer. I think maybe Bruno.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that will be the structure commitment in midfield and forward. Then 1 million plus minus that all.
No, we're on the same page. Like we're saying, what I'm saying is marginal differences because let's say you by doing this Haaland switch, you're also committing a wildcard, right? So that's also a structure commitment.
Yes, correct. So in fact, people need to just realize that their own paths and planning is so important, and it's not the season to. It's a season to if you're into following content creators, know which path they're taking and follow accordingly, because you will get surprised.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the free hit 4 discussion, guys? We need to spend some time on that. A lot of questions on our Discord on that. Give us a like and subscribe plug, LR, before we start this section.
I mean, we enjoy this, and I'm just enjoying so much in terms of just chatting with you guys right now. It's like such like wired FPL conversation. If you guys, wow, nice plug there, wired FPL conversation. If you guys are enjoying as much, and if you guys enjoyed that little pun that I threw in by chance, give us a like and subscribe. We want to get to 41,000 subs before. We really want to take that trip to Thailand as well. So if you want us to take that trip to Thailand, get us to 50k subs as soon as possible. That's our next goal, and we'd appreciate it.
Fantastic. So I'll just read out the team we've drafted for the free hit for the audio listeners. Raya Dubravka in goal. Lacroix, Calafiori, Munoz, Anderson. I'm guessing over here Anderson is the bench option. Semenyo, Salah, Ndai, Gakpo, King as a bench option. Mateta, Gyökeres, and Ekitike. I like this Pras now, but this is what you designed and sent to us. You're effectively going with double Liverpool. You're going without Virgil. This one, I'd like to squeeze him in potentially over there, maybe over.
You have triple Liverpool.
Well, yeah, of course, you have triple Liverpool attack. Never mind. So, yeah, you can't really go there. But otherwise, I like it a lot. Can't really fault it. Otherwise, I think, what were the question marks in your mind over here in terms of maybe double? Now, you've got double Arsenal defense. Would you like to maybe get an attacker in there, additional one? But who would you get? Only Eze?
Yeah, that's the struggle, right? You could get Madueke and then you get Van Dijk. So Gak, you see, I mean, first let's talk Liverpool, right? It feels like a nice free hit to get Liverpool because Isak doesn't look to be up to speed, right? And that we saw in the international. So without Isak, I think it's pretty much given that it's going to be that Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah front three kind of structure. So get them. They're playing Burnley, and this is the week that they'll get them. People on Wildcard won't have them. People who are not on Wildcard won't have all these three. So it's a good thing to have. And I just think it's nice. Like you would get Van Dijk, but there's enough good. Like if you look at Ropty's clean sheet odds, the clean sheet odds for Liverpool are exactly the same as for Crystal Palace, and almost the same as Arsenal. So why should you waste your Liverpool slot on Van Dijk? You can get your double Crystal Palace defense, which are good for DEFCON. I mean, Van Dijk is as well. So you've got the highest clean sheet odds in your defense. That's basically the thinking. You've got the defender from Arsenal that has a lot of upside, and he's not going to last long, right? He gets injured very frequently. So get him while he's hot. And is he 100% to start? He's probably 95% to start. So you can go with that. If you're scared about it, you can go for Mosquera or you can go for Gabriel or whatever. And then I think in attack, the only question is Ndiaye, like, or João Pedro. Like, would you fit João Pedro in any of the three forwards?
I don't think so
Arguably
necessarily.
Mateta, maybe, that's all. Like that's the only one that you'd question, and that's even tough because Pedro doesn't have pens while Mateta has pens. But that's the only, like, I think Pedro versus Mateta is a decision. That's about it.
Would Palmer being back make Pedro worse or better, LR?
I think better because the only proof we have is the Club World Cup, and they love playing with each other in the Club World Cup. And both were good for each other in the Club World Cup. So that's what my opinion is. Just wanted to throw in a couple of sexy puns if people wanted to have some fun on the wildcard. If I'm thinking about the Forest defense, what I'm thinking about is high line.
Sorry, free hit you meant.
Free hit. Sexy puns on free hit.
You said wildcard, that's right.
On free hit. I'm Forest high line means players who can run in behind. Players who can run in behind means Noni Madueke scored his first goal for England as well. Just a pun that I like. I thought he did well against Liverpool as well. If you're in the market for something like that. Also, I just think if you can throw in a Newcastle attacker or a Newcastle defender, we've seen so far that Wolves have actually handed the biggest number of chances to everybody else. So they're a team that are there to be taken on the canter. Like, they're at home. I see like a 4-0 sort of game there. The Newcastle are capable of so many goals. So just throw a punt there. I'm not convinced that Barnes is a pick, or I in fact think Elanga is more so a pick than Barnes. But I just feel like it's a Visa game. I genuinely just vibes only. See 3 or 4 goals in this game and I see it's a Visa game. And don't go Gakpo, go words, because the vibes are stronger the wire with words.
I mean, I was going to add words here, but I couldn't fit him in. Problem. Yeah, I'm poor this year, man.
Yeah, but we all like words, and that's the vibes. That's where the vibes are. So let's commit to that. Yeah.
I'll just start from the strikers now. I think Mateta and Gyökeres I would like in the Ekitike. I'm still not sure. I think if Palmer is out, especially, I think Pedro becomes very talismanic for Chelsea. I'd look to maybe spread my bets a little bit over there. With Ekitike, you might even see a sub off for Isak coming on. Like that happening.
But the amount of big chances he's been farming for Liverpool, right?
Yeah,
like, he could be into 2 goals and an assist by the time we're in the 55th, 60th minute.
What is Ekitike thinking while Isak is on the bench?
Exactly. Like, I would go with Ekitike. I wouldn't. Like, you're playing the free hit for the best team in the
I guess it's also different, right? I think if you're getting Pedro, what are you getting? You're getting a 70, 80 EO Pedro. So you could take that on.
Take him on. Take him on free hit.
I'd agree with that. Now with Gakpo, guys, a problem with Gakpo, and this is very consistent. Last year, he is significantly better at home than he is away. I don't know if it's a tactical thing, it's a mindset thing, but in an away fixture, I just don't like Gakpo as much. Let's look at some of the other teams in terms of goal projections.
Swap Madueke and Calafiori for Van Dijk and Madueke.
I would go with Eze.
Yeah, Eze is also a fun punt. Like, throw in an Arsenal attacker, Eze.
But Eze, I think I agree with LR to the extent that watch an Ange game. Eze will be the guy who will make the breakthrough pass. Madueke will be the guy who runs alongside Gyökeres. Like, I just see that dynamic.
Madueke is just a very, very frustrating player. And I just can't recommend him as an FPL option.
But he's an early season flat track bully.
He's like an Adebayor, right? Ultimately, he might get your first 4-5 games of the first month of the way, and then after that, he's going to be rubbish. The standard Adebayor syndrome.
My perception of Madueke is different. I see the potential in the player that I think he's too young and he's
harsh. But then really, like you might see the new club bounce, which you do see with a lot of players when they do move.
Yeah. And he's on a hot streak. Like he made Kokes' life really difficult. He was good for England as well. I think he's on a high. Got his England goal. Man's in a good mood at the moment. And no Aina for Forest as well.
But he might have Zinchenko.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a good defender.
And then I would have like maybe you save that 7.7. I think I say 7.5. Then you can take Ndiaye up to Grealish. Those are probably the two changes I would make over there.
Nice. I like how these picks are talking about our personalities also in general, right? Like I realized I didn't know that Zoph had such a love affair with Jackie.
But this week, for one week, Grealish is playing Villa, man. Like I get.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
You can go for the fairy tale Grealish versus Villa thing.
Yeah, fair enough. At home. Very interesting game to watch in general, because it will tell us about the Everton attack, who are heavily scouted, and how good they will be against decent defenses.
This is why my one thing, while we were talking about midfielders, that I didn't reiterate. Like 2 games Everton go without scoring a goal, and Everton can go 2 games without scoring a goal, and you're like, what the hell am I doing with an Everton attacker, man? Like, exactly. This is why I didn't go for Dewsbury Hall in game week 1. I will, like, obviously he's turned out to be a great pick. I was like, Everton attacker, just in 2 weeks you start getting frustrated.
Yeah. But it's just that a mindset needs to shift quickly because the upgrade in attack is insane. Like,
it is.
It genuinely is insane. That's all. But I hear you. That's why after Liverpool, you can decide which one to go. Because it's so close between the 3 also, right? At the moment.
Yeah.
And in defense, I think I would spread the risk a little bit. I wouldn't go with 2 Palace defenders because I maintain this. They're a much better team away from home defensively than they are at home.
But I'll tell you what the deal though is, right? Like, I like the Palace defenders just generally because they're better than any other defenders for what they offer. Like
and that's a very set and forget. I completely agree with you guys. If I wanted me to Lacroix, I want him for 38 game weeks, I totally agree. But this week, I think I would just, like you mentioned, right, that Gakpo spot, take Lacroix to Virgil.
I'll tell you why though. Because firstly, nobody offers an attack what Munoz does. Both of you will agree. Yes. There's no other defender who...
He's the first pick on my free hit this week.
Yeah. Number 2, Lacroix is a DEFCON monster. But it's just under the radar how much of a set piece monster he is as well. He could have had an assist or a goal so far already in that game as well. So those 2 things sort of add up as well.
He did have an assist, didn't he? I think he did for one of the goals.
Yeah, he did last year. Yeah, he did. Yeah, for the Sars goal. Yeah, so there you go. Like he's got they find him on every set piece. So he's good there as well.
Yeah, it's a good
who else do you like on in defense? Let's go to the odds, Ropti odds. Who are we liking outside of Arsenal and Palace? Which defenders?
It's Newcastle, right? Newcastle, you go maybe with your Livramentos and stuff, but I don't really know that so much.
I heard the shout on Baker's pod. It was because Ivan was on free hit. If Newcastle persist with 3 at the back, then Lewis Hall could be playing very, very high up the pitch as well. So he's a free hit shout if there was ever one.
Trippier, man.
Yeah, but like 2 of Hall, Trippier, and Livramento will play, right? Like that's the
problem. You don't want to do that.
Did Trippier play much for England?
No, James started both games.
But guys, you do have to keep in mind with Newcastle, if they go 2-0 up or something, it's all turns to the Barcelona game. The early subs happen, energy conservation happens. They're not going to go that balls out with that game in mind. That is a huge game for them midweek.
So that's good for defenders, right?
Good for defenders, yes. But again, in general, as an investment destination, it kind of lowers the stock a little bit.
I don't know, man. Like I think... Like Bulls have shown the most this season that they're just not looking good in defense at the moment. Yeah. So I feel like they're the team to take on, and Newcastle at St. James's Park, I wouldn't worry too much. They're just a beast. They a 10-man Newcastle. I mean, they were on something else against Liverpool, but a 10-man Newcastle gave such a game to an 11-man Liverpool at St. James's Park. They're at home. They're just beasts.
I agree with that, but again, that's a game against Liverpool versus a game against Wolves. The crowd won't get as fired up. That's it. I do agree with the point you're making.
Yeah, I'm just confident about Newcastle at home, and I don't like Wolves. I think they're there for the taking.
Yep. The chat reminds us, in fact, that Zinchenko can't play against Arsenal, so we have to take that back.
So Madueke is in, man. I think that's our wire shout. Or I'm gonna take. We're obviously wire is LR's on free hit. LR is the guy, man. Like you have to listen to him. So I think Madueke is the pick.
Zoph doesn't like him, so
I mean,
I don't mind Eze as
it's
well
more of
because
a
Eze
Chelsea
is the
thing.
output guy.
It just feels like, maybe the first game at the new stadium. And once he walked out on the whole thing with crowd in the jeans, his first start for Arsenal just feels like there's something coming there.
Fair. Good shout. I don't mind Eze as well because he's a lethal finisher. One question before we end the free hit chat: would you go Haaland on free hit?
I had a lot of the drafts that our Discord put up. There are a lot of sacrifices, man, because you're not going without Salah this week. You want a second Liverpool attacker. You ideally want a Semenyo or Mateta. It's a lot of sacrifices.
You want Gyökeres as well.
I mean, if I was to get in Haaland in place of these forwards, it would probably be in place of Ekitike. But if I was getting Haaland, I'd be willing to go without Gyök.
But there's so many sacrifices.
There's so many sacrifices.
I would take Haaland.
And will you
this
captain
week.
him? That's the question. Will you captain him on the free hit or will you go Salah?
Salah has to be a
and
Liverpool
if you're not
attacker.
captaining him, I don't think it's a discussion at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Would you? Yeah, because a lot of people were asking this particular question: would you go Haaland on free hit? And I think you would take him on. There are enough fixtures there for the taking.
Again, if you feel that Manchester United is a better fixture than Burnley for captaincy, which you can't convince me that it isn't. I would say it's very much 51-49.
Come on, Zoph. You've been watching Man United this season or not?
But look at how you guys are defending, bro. I'm saying you're much better in attack.
No,
That's what I'm
defending
saying.
is fine.
I don't know. Do you think Manchester City is a good fixture for Manchester United, which is why you should take Mbeumo on your free hit trip?
I think City's defense is absolutely atrocious. So again, I see that game having potentially goals in it.
Yeah, I think so too. I like it, man. I had the confidence to say something like that, man.
Yeah. Because I think Burnley, if you asked me to give a prediction at the score, Liverpool-Burnley, I would say 2-0. The Manchester derby feels like a 4-2, 4-3, 5-1 sort of game. That's what let's talk about the wildcard. I think we discussed it last week, so let's not spend as much time. Would you guys change anything based on what has happened over 1 week? We have two versions over here, the Haaland and the non-Haaland one. I think I'd be content with this even today.
It just depends on your free hit path. That's about it.
Exactly. Pretty much the first one, if free hit, you go without Haaland. If you don't plan to free hit,
I still like the first one. And then you either free hit in 6 or you plan to do the Salah thing that
you swap them around.
That LR is doing. So I still prefer that structure. Keep one premium. Like I think there's enough like between Palmer, Gyökeres, Saka, Chelsea, Arsenal have good fixtures. If you go on that 2 structure, I prefer the one. So
the only comment is like if you're not free hitting in 6, right? It's not just Haaland. Think about Palmer in 6 or 8 as well, because you might need him then. So have plans in place for that.
The comment in the chat that you guys are higher on Haaland because of the goals against Moldova. No.
No, I mean, we're not selecting him on wildcard or free hit. I mean, what else can we say?
What else can we say? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's just do our bus teams.
Sure.
First up, this is mine. I've got Sells in goal, Porro, Richards, and Anderson. Wirtz, Salah, Reinders, Cunha injured, which I don't know how long it'll be for. Rogers, Joao Pedro, Watkins with Rodon, Murillo, and Guiu on the bench. I've got 2 free transfers and 2.5 in the bank. And now the path, like I mentioned to you guys, this is exact money for either of those. They cost the same. Cunha down to either Semenyo or Paqueta, and Guiu up to either Mateta or Gyökeres.
I want to ask you a question, Zoph, because I think it's more like clear than you're aware. What if Amarin comes on Friday and tells us Cunha's fit?
Then I'd just roll.
Didn't just roll? Because I think it's likelier. Like from what I've
read, I think he's probably going to be on the bench and not risk for this one. Maybe start for Chelsea. That's what I've heard.
I think at max he misses City. At max. That's my perception of Cunha's injury status at the moment. It's just an opinion based on murmurs that you hear around the United network at the moment. And there's a decent chance he could be fit for City too.
But I think there are some points on offer over here now with Gyökeres or with Semenyo over the next 2 now. Like I mentioned right now, let's say if I bring in the Paqueta or Semenyo, then I effectively have 8 good attackers, which is good for the bench boost after, but then it gets tricky every week and I don't like having that decision to make. So I think it most likely will be the Gyökeres and Paqueta move, in which case I might even bench Rogers this week against Everton.
Tough. Which way would you go? Semenyo, Mateta versus Paqueta, Gyok, Pras?
Um,
I,
I think
I
the two
actually
penalty
know.
takers. Two penalty
Yeah,
takers.
cool.
I mean, but then
And
you're going into if you're going Gyok, you're going wildcard 13 with me, yeah?
Yeah,
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
exactly.
like
I'm pretty much.
start to shake.
No,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. And I probably will bring in Bruno then around game week 6 or 7 for words. That's a plan in place as well.
But I'm warning you, Pras. Even if Zoph goes on this path, it's very likely he might wildcard game week 8-9 because we might have enough information and new toys. So I'm just telling you because I know how Zoph operates as well. Yeah. If there's
Zoph
enough
might as
towards
well do Murillo to Munoz also, man. Just join me.
I'm not taking a hit, bro. This week. If potentially now I get an option that Cunha is out just for this week, then I think that appeals a bit more. Because then I can sort of bench Cunha this week and play Munoz. Now, let's say if I roll a transfer, then I have to play either Rodon, Murillo.
This
or
is the
Gio.
likeliest scenario, yeah? He's going to come and say that Cunha looks okay.
In which case, I can do Murillo to Munoz.
Yeah. Also, don't shit on Rodon and say I might have to play Rodon. He's performed for you beautifully. What a great defender with his tattoos, yeah.
Absolutely. But again, with the goalkeeper situation and it being an away game, that's a bit meh.
Yeah.
This is now LR your team.
I already covered it on the team selection video, but I'll do it very quickly. Cels, Porro, Rodon, Munoz, Salah, Sarr, Reinders, Wirtz, Cunha, Pedro, and Watkins. Likeliest move is Sarr to Semenyo, which gives me exact balance to do Watkins and Salah to Haaland and Palmer in game week 6, which is what the plan is at the moment. My question to you guys is, would you go Semenyo to maybe Endai if that gives me more breathing space for that move? That's why I think I'm leaving points on the table with a very strong pick in Semenyo if I don't make that pick. And I just see what happens in game weeks.
I'm worried about not owning Semenyo because, again, like you mentioned, effectively, it's not just I think 3 home games in the next 4. I think it's 4 home games in the next 6. Let's see who those are. They're Brighton, Newcastle, Fulham, and Forest. And Forest is a good fixture.
The away game. Yeah.
Leeds is the away game.
Yeah. So I think I'll just get Semenyo. Because in my head also, I feel like I might have to spend a transfer on Murillo in game week 6 anyway. Get rid of him for a transfer for a defender.
Murillo is home to Sunderland. You won't be able to sell him then.
I'll have to sell a defender at that point if I need to facilitate it. But my hope is Salah scores a hat-trick game week 4. His price rises. Haaland blanks next 2 weeks and my move's sorted anyway.
Then you won't sell Haaland for Salah for Haaland.
No, we're committed. Like the attraction that I have to not using the wildcard in game week 6 is because I feel like it's a good triple captaincy opportunity, which I wanted to talk to you about. Pras, will there be a double that I need to save for triple captaincy for in the future?
There's a chance. There's a small chance. You can put like 10%
Palace,
chance.
right?
That game week 16. No, Palace it cannot be.
Palace
but
have the blank
in 17 is. But whoever Palace play in the Carabao Cup quarterfinal, their fixture from 17 could move to 16. So
this is a
small possibility.
If people are looking at triple captaincy for Salah, a lot of people are looking at triple captaincy for Salah against Burnley this week or Haaland, let's say in game week 6. Should they just play it based on vibes or is there a case to save it for potential doubles? I think just play it for vibes irrespective, right?
If you want to, my view is I'll save it for game week 13-14 when Salah and Haaland both play championship teams. By then we will, not promoted teams. By then we will know about the 17 for sure. So if there's a double, you play it then. If there's no double, you play it in game week 14, Salah home to Sunderland or Isak home to Sunderland, whatever.
Fair shot. Cheers. That makes me like, okay, all right, I can not play it on Haaland this week.
But I think, LR, in terms of, like you mentioned, leave money or buy the best pick now. Buy the best pick now. Never know, the landscape could change completely next week.
Exactly.
Things are so much in flux right now. Just buy the best pick, which actually gave me a thought for. Go ahead.
And I'm still open to a 6 wildcard, right? I've not completely ruled that out. So get the points on the table right now.
I just want to dial back to my team. That's something I could do as well. Just use one transfer, do Cunha to Semenyo, play Rodgers. Because if I bring in another guy for Maguire, I will effectively be benching Rodgers in this side, which I don't really need to. And assess the landscape next week.
Yeah, and take that bench boost decision next week. You don't need to commit to it right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Just do Cunha, Semenyo now, roll the other one.
And that opens you up to my path in 6 as well. So both paths remain open in 5 and 6.
Correct. Keep that option open. I think you do like that a bit more too, Pras. Because I don't think, let's talk
In
about
your team-
Villa. I don't think, do we need to bench Rodgers away to Everton this week? Is that a bad
No,
fixture?
you don't need to. Like
Yeah.
if you're going with this new hipster vibe for Villa for Everton, then no. But
Exactly.
we don't know yet for sure if that is the case. I mean, on paper, away Everton is a tougher fixture, but this season it doesn't seem like it.
And Brandt still might not be there. So that's also a factor.
Cool. Pras, your team?
So I've got Sells, Van de Ven, Porro, Richards, Anderson, Reinders, Salah, Captain, Bruno, Wirtz, Mateta, and Watkins. I think my front line is fine, and even playing back four is fine. So it's just a question of how, if I can make some gains this week, but keep my options open. So earlier I was thinking Van de Ven to Munoz, but now I'm thinking Van de Ven to Van Dijk, because Van Dijk does two things actually. You're chasing short-term gains. So I mean, Munoz is also chasing short-term gains, but the difference is Van Dijk is also good for 6. Like away to Crystal Palace, I can play him. Like with Munoz, he's playing Liverpool, so it's a little less.
But you're free hitting in 6.
So I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. If I get Van Dijk, I can see another 2 weeks.
He
I
opens
can
a
see
path
what
up.
the landscape
If
is.
he's getting Munoz and he sort of like commits to the 6th path of free hit.
So if I get Van Dijk, I leave it open. If in the next 2 weeks Salah blanks in the next 2 weeks, and the new meta is basically people selling Salah for Haaland, I don't have to play it. Like I think that's still my base case strategy. But so the thinking now is that I'll do Van de Ven to Van Dijk, and I'll still have money left to do sells to Raya, which I think I will do. So that's the thinking. But if Stan Larson is injured, and if he's injured for long term, then I go back to the structure that we talked about in the previous pod, which is basically I can do Stan Larson to Gyökeres and I can do Porro to Senesi, something like that. So both are open. I'm also, this whole path we're talking about, I'm trying to see what is the update with Saka, what is the update with Palmer, what is the update with Mamouche. All of these matter, because if Mamouche is out for game week 6, then Reinders is the second best City pick even in game week 6. Then I already have that. But if Mamouche was fit, I would be thinking, you know what, I'll take people on with Reinders with Mamouche on my free hit. If Saka and Palmer are both fit, then while people will be doing Salah to Haaland, I'll be doing Salah and Anderson to Saka and Palmer. So there's different paths depending on people's fitnesses that I just need to evaluate. So I think my point is keep options open and take it from there.
Why not a Gabriel maybe over Van Dijk, Pras?
Then I can't do sells to Raya.
Which is fine.
I'm not having sells, man. I'm tired of that guy.
But you can get Sanchez or Petrovic, or like there will be keeper options like for you, right? Like
so Van Dijk plus Raya is like 10x, then Petrovic plus Gabriel, no?
Yes.
Like Van Dijk is legit good. He's our unicorn. Game week 1. Come on, we talked about him. He's the unicorn, and he's playing Burnley and Everton.
Fair shot. I just think if there is a commitment to a game week 13 wildcard, then long term there's a conversation to be had between Van Dijk and Gabriel. Just apples to apples in general. That's all.
Yeah, but then you have to see the second part of that equation. I'm still Gyökeres is pretty much in. One Arsenal defender is pretty much in. And then I want to leave the route open to get Saka as well, right? Because I want Palmer. So I'm with the crowd that Salah can go after 6. I just don't want to have the only route as him being out to Haaland. He can also be out to Saka and Palmer.
The only point I'm trying to make is don't let a planned move of sells to Raya stop you from making a pick right now where you might say, I don't want Raya. There are other keepers, and keepers is the least points differential position there is
if
anyway.
If it's not Raya, then I won't touch the keeper spot. Then I'll just leave it, because there's nobody else who's worth a -4, right? I mean,
the only point is that you can like go 5 million keeper to 4.5 million keeper, which enables you something else in the future, like in just terms of keeping pathways open. That's all.
Yeah. No, I think money will be flush. If I free hit in game week 6, then money is not a problem. Like Bruno can be sold after 7 if I wanted to. Salah can be sold after 6 if I wanted to. Money is not, and I won't be interested in Haaland once I free hit it. Then I don't need him after 7, 8. So I've done a lot of paths. In fact, in my team selection, I'll show you the different branches that I have.
Nice.
In none of them, money is really a problem.
Yep. I love how
Nice.
LR you're trying to talk Pras out of his keeper fetish. We are so lucky that Edison isn't in the league anymore. Otherwise, Pras's all transfer paths would have involved bringing Edison in at some point.
Dude, Raya is in the free hit team right now. Like, let's find the players.
I am
It's actually
asking
a
you to
good
get an
exercise.
Arsenal defender, Pras. I'm
No,
not
no.
saying go get somebody else.
Hear me out. There are certain players that are on free hit 4 and on wildcard 4. There are very few, but there are certain players like that.
Yes, Arsenal primarily.
If you can pick 2 of those this week that are on wildcard 4 and on free hit 4, I think you've made great gains. So that's what I'm trying to say.
But my point is that Arsenal defender and Arsenal keeper both get 4 points for clean sheet.
One offers you goal threat.
Yeah. Like that's all. Like that's the only point I'm making. Like it might save you.
I totally agree. I think the gap between a 4.5
Van Dijk
goalkeeper
also offers
and
goal threat. I'm missing some. What am I missing? Van Dijk is also as attacking as Gabriel, no?
Which defense do you trust more, Arsenal or Liverpool? Like that's the point I'm making. I can comfortably say that all three of us trust the Arsenal defense more than Liverpool.
There are two things. There is a keeper and Gabriel, or there is Van Dijk and Raya. So give me a keeper that can match with Gabriel, that is not Raya, that can match that combination.
Why can't it be both again, Pras? Because Van Dijk and Gabriel are the same.
I want to leave the route open for Saka.
An Arsenal midfielder. I'll tell you what, not the right answer, but what might be able to compete with Van Dijk plus Raya might be Gabriel plus 4.5 million keeper plus 0.5 spent in attack. Like that's the only thing. Like, think about it.
Money is not an issue.
Yeah, I'm just brainstorming. That's all. Like if you want Saka,
I hear you. But then I'll just go Munoz and Raya, man. Like if I wanted to get, it's all close. But the other thing is I can't do Gabriel and Raya anyway this week because Gabriel is 6.1. Oh. So I have 2 million in the bank. I can't do Gabriel and Raya. One Arsenal defender has to come in.
No, I don't think you need to get both. I like the idea of keeping the path open given the Arsenal's fixtures for Saka or Eze, whichever one might be a pick at that time.
And I was planning to take Sells out this week anyway because it's Arsenal away versus somebody who's playing Nottingham Forest at home and much better long-term fixtures. So that I was planning to take him out with Nuno. I mean, with Ange, I don't know how you guys are sitting there with Sells and being comfortable. Like,
just gonna give it 6 and 7, man. I'd take it, assess it after 7.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you'll be making a keeper transfer too.
Maybe not. Maybe he just makes loads of saves, gets like 3-4 points every game, which is fine.
Yeah. And I'm not wildcarding in 13 plus, so it might be sitting there with a shit.
For you, you're different. You're different.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think between now and game week 12. Raya has like 8 more expected points than Sells between now and game week 12. If I remove game week 6 out of the question, so I just think I'll get it done.
Very sure. I think that's why we differ on keepers. I just can't get myself to spend that 5.5. I just don't see that paying off. But I guess if he gets like loads of clean sheets,
the dopamine hit you get watching Arsenal games when you have an Arsenal defender. They don't even touch the goal, man. They don't even shoot. Like it's like you're just like sitting in air conditioned
but when they do concede process 2 points, he's never going to get a 3 or 4.
Then you go process over outcome.
It's so rare that 9 or 10 also feels so rare with Raya. It happened in game week 1, but it feels rare.
And by the way, this other thing that I pointed out, right? They have a couple of away games on those when they play promoted teams, and then so I just don't want to worry. Now I don't think Gabriel is benched ever. But I just think Arsenal keeper will just play. So
that's no doubt.
He's fine.
The away games are Newcastle in 6, Fulham, then Burnley, Sunderland is what you're talking about in 10 and 11. Yeah. Primarily, I guess. But yeah, he'll play Raya irrespective of opposition. I think he'll do the same for Gabriel as well, that being said.
Pras, doesn't it bother you that you might get in Raya for City and Newcastle?
But I won't have, it's possible. So I have to say the Raya one is dependent on where I think if I want to leave things open, then I may leave it. So you're right that if I'm thinking more, should I free hit in game week 6 or not? But as of now, I'm like 80% free hitting in game week 6.
Got it. So it depends on path commitment of sorts almost.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around this and genuinely because I'm still a newbie when it comes to analytics. Like I agree with the path that Solio is showing. I'm struggling with the timing of the path in general. Is there anything that can help my thinking around
what do you mean
that?
timing? This week Arsenal are the highest clean sheet odds. So it's a good entry point to get a defense which has. I mean, go to Solio's clean sheet odd projections
I get
if
it,
you have.
but
No,
you
not this
can't
one.
get.
The forecast.
Okay, cool.
Uh, I hear you, but my argument, hear me out, is that you can't get 3 clean sheets. Your ceiling is still 6 points. So if a certain defender has Newcastle and City in 5 and 6, which are not the best clean sheet fixtures, why can't we just wait till 7? It's not like you're going to get a hat trick of clean sheets in Gaming 4 alone.
Great question. Great question. Because in Game Week 7, there's already 2 transfers committed to get Gyökeres. Wirtz needs to go and Mateta needs to go to Gyökeres. And so whichever point you decide to make the keeper change, it will be a hit. So might as well do it in the week that you're getting the highest clean sheet odds for the guy who's third lowest for clean sheet odds.
All right, cool. But I also think, because I've been watching Solio, right? The numbers on there are changing consistently. We might long shot see that Chelsea are just the best defense in the league or something of that sort by that time, who also have good fixtures Game Week 6 onwards, right? So then
you still need to take a hit. So unless it changes that,
you need to take a hit, but your decision point has changed. Solio in Game Week 6 is telling you not Raya. Sanchez is better because they've improved as a defense, right? So,
by the way, to be clear, none of the models are saying take a hit this week. That's just me. That's just my obsession with Raya. So
acceptance is a first step to overcome it, Pras.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm seeing is that right now, between now and Game Week 10, I'm using up transfers pretty much as they come. So next week, okay, I'll be saving. But Game Week 7, I'll be making 2 transfers. Game Week 9, I'll be making 2 more transfers. So there is no free space to do this transfer, to either get Gabriel, to either get Raya. And I'm just thinking, why not just get it done this week and then use those free transfers for other things? Like I want triple Arsenal, I want Palmer. That's what will take me through and get me through to Wildcard 30.
All right. Fair. Cool.
Fantastic, guys. Let's wrap up.
Yes. Fun pod, man. What a charged up conversation that was. I really had a good time.
So many different thoughts, so many different paths. I mean, it's fun. Like I've changed my mind a little bit on in terms of the chips. Like it's made things a little different. Like everybody is on different paths and it's actually all fine. Like there's good picks on different paths.
And it makes the game fun. It's so much more interesting in terms of viewing what's happening compared to everybody being on the same path, right? And I feel like even if 3 of us are on different paths, everybody else is going on their own different paths as well. So it's not like it's fun to watch. So I'll give it that.
By Game Week 7, we could have a unique scenario where like there's no player that's over 100% owned. Because everybody, as Salah guys, have either distributed their funds, got Haaland. So there is no one template big hitter. And I think we'll be in that phase between 7 and 9.
Except Joao Pedro, Pras.
Pras, you should have countered that and said, except Bruno Fernandes.
I was expecting that.
Opportunity
Even Bruno can be sold. Even Bruno can be sold.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, that's it, guys. Keep the notifications on for this channel because we also have Pras and Zoph's team selection videos coming this week. And until that time, any last words, boys?
It's fantastic to be chatting with you guys again. Hope the football's a bit better. Hope there are more points all around.
Points are all theoretical. Hope we all enjoy the process.
Oh man, I want some points. It's about time. On that note, fantastic seeing you guys again. Hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see the 2 married men in Thailand along with me. Thank you for joining us.
Take care. Oh, there was a super chat. No, it's fine.